Okay, good afternoon once again, and welcome to you to the next topic of our subject at 81 ATC 129 post-harvest technology. So last time with this we're still under the introduction. Um yeah, sorry. So in your classwork view, where all of this question marks refers to your quizzes. So this your quiz will be due on October 1 pa. So we're still here on the first chapter, the first unit, which is introduction, and we just stopped somewhere. We're done with the terms. I just scroll down, and so we have discussed this before. So this is our fourth meeting already. And take note once again that your attendance is not part of your grading system. There are only three components, and that's quizzes, exam, and laboratory report. While your attendance will just be as an additional point whenever you needed it, especially if you have failing grades. So actually, let me go back to morphoanatomy and post-harvest handling. So we have talked about the type of organs and in its relationships to post-harvest handling. These are actually the reasons why there are post-harvest losses. Like we have discussed the nature of the fruit wall, and it's where regulates moisture loss. So this is a typical figure of the leaf anatomy. So it is all these parts contributes to post-harvest losses. So we specify like for cabbage, it has a lot of stomata wherein it makes post-harvest losses or water loss easily. And another example is compared to onion, garlic will last longer because it has a leaf covering, and so on. So for masmelon, it has corrugated peel. For okra, it has trichomes, which makes it more prone to post-harvest losses. We talk about banana browning and oleocellulosis in citrus, and why there is browning in lanzones, and also about the black heart of potato, which is lack of oxygen. So I guess we stop here last time. So to continue, another aspect of morphoanatomy in relation to post-harvest handling is the presence of laticifers. What are these laticifers? So these are latex in Bisaya, duga. Kabalo mo o napay lain bisa term ana? Albert.
Murag maura na.
Mora na, no? O, dyan. So, latex or duga does not flow when mango is harvested with a stem. So, you have experienced before nga kung baklion lang ninyo, when you just cut the mango directly without a stem on it, like a centimeter stem, so what will happen? The duga or latex will flow.
Mo flow, ma'am. Mas ma'am tong
Yes.
puti.
No. And this will make stains, no? And this latex will also promote the degradation of the post-harvest losses of mango. So longer and wider laticifers are found at the base or near of the stem. That's why when it is cut, the more latex will flow. While there are no more laticifers on the stem above it. So when you cut the stem, so no latex will flow. But when you cut at the base, more latex will flow. So no latex flows anymore sometime after harvest because laticifers will dehydrate sooner. So when you will leave the mango with stem for some time, like 1 day or more. So later on, the latex will also dehydrate or dissipate. So what are the changes at the cellular level? Like for example, eggplant fruits develop depressed brown areas when they are subjected to very low temperature, 12 degrees Celsius, and then brought out to higher temperature or at room temperature, like 30 degrees Celsius. So what are these depressed brown areas? So these are examples of the eggplant browning. So this is very common, right? Nakita na mo, ane, Robert?
Opo, ma'am.
Yes, these are very common. And why does this happen? Because the formation and subsequent collapse of the parenchyma cells, several layers below the surface, and then tonoplast degraded, the mitochondria swell, and the cell will burst. So that's the physiological changes that happens, or why when you subject eggplant to low temperature and then brought to high temperature, no, or vice versa. So change of temperature will make eggplant brown. So another one is mango. It will develop internal breakdown when packed in plastic film. So what are this internal breakdown? I have a photo here. So have you seen this one before?
Ma'am, wala pa, ma'am.
Yan eh. So lucky you don't have you
Aliso man, ma'am.
or wala dyan mo naka.
Taliso.
No, it's actually on the peel. So and why does this happen? These are white starchy area in the pulp near the seed with air pockets in the middle. That's how you describe it in English. And these are due to very compact parenchyma cells. It means less intercellular spaces for gas exchange. So this is because it's very compact and no more air or gas exchange. And why is it? Because it's due to thick, persistent, and continuous cuticle and lenticels which do not create breaks in the cuticle. And this will ultimately happen when, again, physiologically, this happens when mango is under stress, when they are into different weather conditions like too cold and too hot. So most colored fruits change in color due to a change in the structure of the plastids. If you remember in the part of the cell, it has plastids like the chlorophyll. The chlorophyll are contained in the plastids which contain the green pigment. So a lot of colors are also embodied in the plastids like the orange and the purple. So prolonged heat treatment or high temperature will cause this mango discoloration. So usually nag-hot water treatment tayo sa mangga, 'di ba? So these are the common effects of the hot water treatment. So we do, when it's too prolonged, the treatment is prolonged, too much for the mango, then that's how why there is internal breakdown. So this happens because the cuticle ruptures exposing underlying tissues, and the cell walls are twisted due to very hot, prolonged hot treatment, and they are folded or curved and thickened, suggesting disruption of enzymes. So this happens. So for rambutan, if you notice rambutan, when you harvest rambutan, after 2 to 3 days, it easily turns brown, dries up, and shrivels, right? Like this. And it becomes still consumable, but then it's not already the what the quality consumer wants. So this happens because of its spin turns. This one. Yan yung spin turns. Kanyang hairy So it has about 200 to 400 spin turns per fruit with several uni or dicellular trichomes per spin turn. And each spin turn has 15 lenticels with more than 23 stomates per trichome. And you know that stomates are more fully exposed towards the tip of the spin term and the waxy layer becomes thinner. And you know that this will cause more water loss. And as the water is lost, the most post-harvest losses too. So that's why rambutan spin turns brown ahead or earlier than the peel because it is 5 times more stomates in spin turn than the area in the spin turns. And spin turns have 15 to 20 vascular bundlers with both phloem and xylem vessels. We know that the phloem, the xylem vessels are the one for the flow of nutrients and waters. Trichomes are also connected to the vascular bundles. So that makes more rambutan wilts easily. So the next topic we're going to have is the physiochemical basis of post-harvest handling. But before we go further, so let me ask a question. Therefore, if among all the fruits, rambutan will turn faster because of its spin turn, um, which really wilts faster, rambutan or um, pechay? What do you think? Which wilts faster? Albert, Robert, and John. Just have a guess.
Murag rambutan, rambutan siguro ma'am.
Rambutan, Jod. Are you sure? Any
Sa to may question, ma'am? Well,
between rambutan and pechay, which wilts faster? So,
mm,
so is it rambutan? Do you agree with that? So among all the fruits, rambutan will
Kay
wilt faster,
kung
but
pichay ma'am murag humor magtubig siguro ma'am.
if
yeah,
ever
ma'am.
both are under natural condition, no, at room temperature without any treatment, water, whatever. So
Kay
still,
kan magud ma'am kanang ang rambutan kay kan mo ma'am kanang murag asay basa jud siya ba kasulod jud niya.
mhm. So mugawas man gud ang water sa spin turn mo nang basa siya. But if you are going to compare it with pichay, which is a leafy vegetables, and to take note that there are 20,000 more stomates in pechay, in a leafy vegetable. So still, leafy vegetable like pechay will wilt faster than rambutan fruit. So don't be mistaken with the rambutan, okay? So if you of all the fruits, rambutan will wilt faster. But compared to leafy vegetables, it's always pechay, especially pechay, no? That will wilt faster because it's just a day, it will already lost its water.
Okay, ma'am.
So if you don't have any more question about anatomical structures, so we will we will proceed with the chemical basis, no, in relation to post-harvest handling. In this topic, you will know the different components in plants that makes it that will affect its post-harvest life. So let's first define what are the characteristics of perishables that determine post-harvest life. So first and foremost, perishables, last time, we have defined perishable compared to durable. Diba? So, Albert, can you still remember what's the difference between perishable and durable?
Ma'am,
Anong kaibahan ng perishable sa durable?
ang perishable ma'am kay dali siya malata.
Mm-hmm. And while
Ang
durable,
durable kay long lasting ma'am.
Yes. So like perishable like fruits and vegetables, and durables like root crops and grains, or usually mga wheat grains. So like rice and corn if it's dried. So now we will know the characteristic of this perishable. First, we have energy requiring. So even after harvest or during post harvest, plants continue to need energy. So that means they do metabolism or metabolic activities, which will be discussed on the next chapters. And these are continuously changing. So these are the characteristics that very clear, and we know that already. And most of the perishables are high water content. So whenever water is lost, that makes them change a lot. And these are susceptible to attack of pathogens and insects. And it's because plants are a source of food. And these are very responsive to its environment whenever cold, when too hot, and are prone to injury. So these are characteristics of the perishables. So what are the changes in perishable crops after harvest? For asparagus, for example, have you seen an asparagus or have you eaten before?
Asparagus.
Yes, asparagus. Mamahalin na siya, high-valued crop.
Wala pa mamay.
So it's only grown in somewhere in Cotabato, no, in Jensen, somewhere there. But it's very nutritious and high valued crop. So later I have photos on asparagus, and you will see what is asparagus soon in the next slide. So when the asparagus will elongate and feather, it called it is called feathering. So that becomes post-harvest loss na, it will deteriorate na. If the leafy vegetable become yellow, it has lost its vitamin C na, so you don't want to eat na the yellow leafy vegetables, no? We always want green leafy vegetables. So when the flowers, like the cauliflower or the sisbania or whatever flower you're eating, when it has already opened and color is faded already and wilted, so it already deteriorates. And for sweet corn, when it lost its sweetness, usually sweet corn, when you harvest that in the afternoon, you should always harvest sweet corn in the morning, because when it gets in the afternoon, the the sh- the sugar content will be converted to starch already. That's why it lost its sweetness. And for okra, once it softens and it toughens, kasi for okra, di ba rigid siya and crispy when it's rigid, but when it's soft, it's already tough or to chew or to eat. And for cucumber, when it's yellow, we don't want it anymore and it's softened already. So some more changes. For vegetable legumes, when it's tough and it's yellow. For chayote, when it's germinated already inside, because chayote is a recalcitrant fruit, and it has the capability to germinate inside while still in the fruit. So for mature fruits, if it's already ripening or seed is germinated inside, like for tomatoes, pepper, jackfruit, papaya, these are called viviparous because they lack the hormones abscisic acid, which is antagonist to gibberellic acid. So these are known, as I have said a while ago, recalcitrants, because the gibberellic acid or the GA is the one which initiates germination, and without ABE, the abscisic acid, which is the antagonist to JA, so they will germinate faster than is normal. So these are called viviparous. So Another one for bulb crabs, tuberous root crabs, when they sprouted already or they already have roots, then it means inside its starch, they have been used up already for this purpose. So it's already deteriorated. So what are this chemical composition and the commodity response? So water, first and foremost, we all know that with water loss, then the commodities, especially the perishable, will deteriorate faster because it's 76 to 95% of the component in commodities, and it is the one uh which is responsible for the turgidity or for the rigidness of the tissues. Otherwise it becomes soft and soft, no, and wilted. And it also participates in other biological processes for chlorophyll and vitamin C. So as we know, pag there is wilting, there is loss of water, and vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamins. So ayan na I got 10 minutes already left. So if if the video will cut off, then you just click the link again so we can continue with the meeting. So going back to water, it will impart textural characteristics like softening or toughening. So medium moisture content fruits with 76 to 88% includes the following: fruits like banana, breadfruit, and so on. For vegetables, cowpeas, beans, pepper, and so on. And for root bulbs, onion, potato, and so on. So high moisture content crops with 89% more includes the following fruits: calamansi, carambola, and so on. Vegetables, battle gourds, cabbage, carrot, cauliflower, and cincamas root crops. And the low moisture content crops with 75% below are the durian, guava, and so on, and sweet potato, taro, and gabi. So these crops or commodities are classified based on the following moisture content: low, high, and medium. Next, aside from water, carbohydrates is another component that determines post-harvest loss. So because these are the main source of energy for harvested commodities, which are responsible for respiration. What is this respiration? Although we're going to talk about this on the next topics. So in advanced respiration is the metabolic activity which enable the plants to make use of energy for for growth and for development, and also for after post harvest. So cellulose is the component of cell wall that imparts strength and form. So this is in the form of dietary fiber, and this is a carbohydrate. It's it's, if you remember your types of carbohydrates before, you have the simple, the monosaccharides, the disaccharides. So cellulose is a disaccharide, actually a complex, no? So pectin is another cementing agent in the middle lamella. So it's also carbohydrates. Starch is for unripe fruits. It's also a carbohydrates, and simple sugar, which are responsible for the sweetness of commodities. So these are most main source carbohydrates that we can see on all commodities. So what are the simple sugars? The glucose, fructose, and sucrose. And these are found in the following crops, fruits, and vegetables. So for glucose, in papaya, both glucose and fructose; in sweet corn, sucrose, which is a combination of glucose and fructose; in mango, pineapple, marshmallow, and passion fruit. So storage organs such as potato will last longer because of higher amount of starch. So that makes them durable because they have a lot of starch. While simple sugars are the main substrate in the respiration of cut flowers, that's why when you put your cut flowers in a flower vase and you put sugar, that will make the vase life longer. Sweetening of fruits results from starch breakdown to simple sugars. So most of these fruits, the starch will be broken down into sugar. That's why they're sweets. But in the case of sweet corn, remember that sweet corn in longer time will will do the the opposite from simple sugar to starch. So the loss of sweetness in sweet corn, like baby corn and peas, is due to the conversion of simple sugars, sucrose, glucose, fructose, into starch, which is the opposite in most fruits. So what is this bluing reaction in roses? This is due to carbohydrate deficiency. So proteins are utilized as respiratory substrate, and when the ammonia is released, when proteins are utilized, increases cell sap or pH, resulting in bluing. So that's why there is bluing reaction in roses. Another components are the organic acids. These are the intermediate compounds formed from carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and proteins metabolism. So we have types of organic acid: the citric, malic, tartaric, oxalic, and ascorbic acid. These are found in most fruits and vegetables, like for citric acids in citrus fruits and tomato, malic acid in banana, mango, eggplant, and tartaric acid in tamarind and grapes, oxalic acid in carambola, and so on, and ascorbic acid or vitamin C in all fruits and vegetables. So what are the effects of organic acids? They they decrease in sourness during ripening. So if it's sour, then it will decrease because of the organic acids and makes the commodity less sour. And also responsible for the development of flavor. Organic acids are used as substrate for respiration and for the synthesis of aromatic compounds. So that's why they like for durian and for langka, they are very aromatic, no? Humot kay sila when they are ripe because of these organic acids. And also for browning reaction, like for ascorbic acid, when it's degraded as starting material in browning reaction. So when exposed, like for banana, what else? Like for example, banana, when it's exposed to air, when you cut the banana, for it will have a brown reaction. Another one is phenolics, no? The OH groups, tyrosine, catechol, phenols, and etc. And these are also responsible in browning reactions because of the melanoidin example, no? And this happens in lettuce, mango, banana, and potato, as I have discussed. So, hindi lang organic acids, but also the phenolics. Tannins make unripe fruits astringent, kanang choky biting taste, kana sa Bisayang astringent, kanang, sorry, I cannot say the term, but it's something like Abdul, unsa na siya, tabahin ko ninyo be?
Ang unsa mamang?
Kanang choky biting taste, kanang astringent, kanang aslum, dili pa aslum, upload. Kabalo mo siya
Upload.
upload. Oh, that
Opo,
is
ma'am.
the choky biting taste or astringent. So it's because of tannins, and diba it's you can taste that in banana, in sour apple, chico, and
Opo.
santol. So another phenolic is the lignins, which impart hardness to bean pods and mangosteen. So mangosteen, sometimes when it's or harvested it with damage or due to mechanical damage or vibration, so the lignin of mangosteen will make it hard. So sometimes you cannot even open mangosteen after 3 days of harvest when it is damaged or nabunog siya in Bisaya. So another phenolic, suberin, is formed during the self-healing of wounded tissues of root crabs. So if you notice, kung na-cut ang mga potatoes, if it is cut, then usually it will just form the tissues will just close because of the suberin. There are also antifungal agents like resorcinol and mango, and anthocyanins, which gives the red, violet, or color with cyanidin, called cyanidin, and orange-red, called pelargonidin colors to flowers, fruits, and vegetables. And also antioxidants, which slow down senescence and reduce heart disease and cancer in man. So usually there's a lot of food with phenolics compounds, and these are antioxidant, which makes us younger, people younger, and even commodities. So what are the other antioxidant phenolics? We have flavonoids, the deep red or orange, deep purple colored fruits like the red bell pepper, eggplant, and so on. We have the flavones like the quercetin in onion and green leafy vegetables, and the glucosinolates in broccoli, and chlorogenic acids in camito, jackfruit, and carambola. So as you can see, as you have heard before in the last slide, antioxidants will make you young and reduce heart diseases and cancer in man, and it has been proven through studies. So, and as you can also see here, a lot of fruits and vegetables have this antioxidant phenolics. So it is really best when you really eat a lot of fruits and vegetables for your health, no? And these are just the terms that you need to remember. That flavonoids, these are red color, deep red, found in strawberry, no? And flavones are found in quercetin is a flavones which found in onion. And what does broccoli contain? It has glucosinolates, which make it an antioxidant. And in jackfruit, it has chlorogenic acids. So those are example of the antioxidant phenolics. Now, importance of lipids in fresh produce. So if for human beings, we always get rid of fats and lipids. Lipids are fats. These are fatty acids as building blocks. So these are very important also in fresh produce. They are as structural components of the cell membrane. So without them, the cell membrane is not that rigid. And for chilling injury, this causes breakdown of lipids at temperature lower than the optimum. So if without lipids, so mas prone siya sa chilling injury. When you place your commodities in a freezing point, that's and then when you take out your commodity from the freezer and when it got rotten, that's what is chilling injury. So if it's more prone to chilling injury if it doesn't have a lot of lipids. And it is also component of waxes. A lot of wax. We use a lot of wax. We have wax from insects, wax from different also plants, no? It, it covers the surface of commodities. Digestible storage lipids are formed in avocado parenchyma cells. So we all know that avocado is a good diet. It's because it contains fats or lipids, so sometimes it's also a good diet, no? It's a good fat. So let's talk about waxes. These are complex mixture of long-chain hydrocarbons, alcohols, ketone, fatty acid, and esters. So ito yung component. We have heard a lot of waxes, no? Like waxes in spa, and waxes for fruits, no? in post-harvest handle. So we apply wax in fruits to prolong their post-harvest shelf life. And it will make commodity resistant to moisture loss, microbial attack, and mechanical damage as well. They exhibit lower rates of transpiration and deterioration. Like for calamansi, sinaw siya, diba? It's very shiny because it has a lot of wax compared to lanzones. That's why lanzones becomes, it will immediately become brown after days. So readily removed during handling but can be replaced with synthetic waxes or oils. That's why we use wax, synthetic ones, in application to our commodities. So another components are aromatic compounds. These are volatiles, which means they easily evaporate in air. These are the aroma, responsible for the aroma and flavor of commodities. And these are made up of alcohols, acids, esters, lactones, sequesterpenes, and carbonyls. So mango, for example, it has 285 aroma volatiles called terpinolene in the latex. So mango, as small as it is, it has a lot of aromatic compounds, 285. So one of which is the terpinolene. So if you smell mango, actually the aroma of mango is a combination of 285 compounds. For durian, it has 26 volatiles, mainly hydrogen sulfide and diethyl sulfide are responsible for the offensive odor of durian. So if you remember the characteristic, they say durian it tastes, smells hell but tastes heaven, no? So for those who are not so familiar with durian, they wouldn't really like the smell. And these are the components that are responsible for its aroma. For ripe tomato and banana naman, they contain aldehydes, cis-3-hexenal and trans-2-hexenal. That's why they smell tomato or banana. And for onions, they have allicin and allicin, which makes you cry, and smell onion. So I cannot describe enough to, if it's, already what's how's onion smell. So immature produce contain less substrate for the synthesis of aromatic compounds and have poor sensory attributes. So take note that when the fruit or the commodities are still not mature, meaning their aromatic compounds are not yet developed, so they don't smell the ripe smell or aroma of fruits and vegetables. So aside from this compounds, we also have proteins, and you know what are proteins. These are for the structural and storage, and for the cellular framework and seeds. And it has enzymes which catalyze reactions. And there are also we call heat shock proteins for thermotolerance, protect cells against heat stress. So whenever you become, or plants or even humans and animals, we become resistant to heat stress, for example, or to insects or to other diseases, because we have this HSP or heat shock proteins. And these are already studied in banana, papaya, pepper, melon, and mango. So what are the important enzymes in the fresh produce? We have the cellulase. They degrade cellulose. So when you are asked what are the different enzymes that you know, there are a lot of enzymes, and usually these are enzymes because they ends with ase. So for cellulose is a carbohydrate, you remember? And to degrade a carbohydrate, you need an enzyme known as cellulase. And we also have polygalactorinase and pectin. So polygalactorinase will degrade pectin, and pectin methyl esterase. For degradation of starch, we have amylase. For lipids, we have lipoxygenase. So for Browning reaction, we have polyphenol oxidase or phenolase. So if you are going to be asked with what are the enzymes that you know, so hopefully you can at least answer cellulase, which degrades cellulose. So what are other important enzymes? We have the ACC and the ACC synthase and the oxidase, which degrades ethylene. And it's very important in post-harvest handling because ethylene is the one which make fruits ripen, and sometimes we do not because of long transport, especially when we export banana and mango in other countries. So we don't want ethylene yet. So we need to suppress this enzyme which degrades ethylene. So we call it the aminocyclopropane 1 carboxylic acid synthase, or ACC in short, and the ACC oxidase. And to degrade chlorophyll, we have chlorophyllase. So some more latex, sap, or resin. These are mixture of complex substances. Like for mango, it's polysaccharide, terpinolene. For papaya, we have papain, and papain is, if you know, it's being used in meat industry as a meat tenderizer. And in papaya soap, it will make you beautiful, whiter, and less pimples. No? For fruits, banana, lanzones, chico, durian, and so on, there are a lot of latex, sap, or resin, and vegetables also like sweet potato, and so on. So what are the importance of latex? It is also for flavor and aroma. Like the terpinolene in mango. Mango will not taste that sweet or that, the aroma without the terpinolene. And usually it will damage fruit peel. So that's why we need to get rid of latex. And it will even corrode or discolors the peel. And take note that it is the food of microorganisms. So the more, if it has latex, the more it will deteriorate or attacked by diseases. And as well, it is a biological defense system to pests and diseases. So latex will make insects stick into it, so that becomes biological defense. So another component are the pigments. These are the pigments are the one which are responsible for the color and the changes in color during ripening. Like for chlorophyll, it's green, blue, green, or yellow, green. The carotene, the orange in carrots, the yellow orange in squash, the yellow in pineapple and mango. And we call it lycopene in red tomatoes and watermelon. So you remember the different pigment. At least you know what is chlorophyll, carotene, lycopene, and there's more here. We have xanthophyll for capsanthin or capsorubin in red bell pepper. And we also call it anthocyanin. These are group of the color pigments, the anthocyanins. We call it pelargonidin in strawberry and roses. We call it cryptosanthin in papaya, delphinidin in purple eggplant, cyanidin in ube, and chalcone in carnation. So at least you have heard, I hope you're hearing me. You have heard, or please, yeah, have a read one and sometimes on this pigments to familiarize with. So we have internet technology now that you might not need to memorize, no, kasi Eventually you will forget all of this, but at least you remember that, oh, we have talked about pigments and what was that again. So it will be stored in your, if you have heard and seen this lecture, then it will be stored in your brain forever, and only your memory knows when will it come out again, no? So those are the pigments. And the secondary metabolites, as you can, as if you have noticed, there's a lot of components, no, in the products of respiration. For instance, it will produce your carbohydrates, proteins, fats, no, and there are also uh, the organic acids. These are byproducts, and another products are also secondary metabolites. An example is the phytoalexins. These are antifungal or antibacterial. For example, these are found in avocado. So avocado can be used. That's why it's so nutritious, because it has also antifungal, antibacterial activity containing phytoalexins. And oxalic acid. If you remember, oxalic acid is found in carambola or balimbing. It inhibits calcium absorption and utilization. We also have goitrine. It inhibits iron absorption and utilization in cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, and radish. So if you are anemic, you avoid cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli, because it will inhibit iron absorption. But anyway, there, whenever you cook them, they're just gone or destroyed by cooking. So no worries, because you just cook the cabbage, cauliflower. But for radish, we usually eat radish. Sometimes we eat radish as a salad, right? So if you're anemic, so avoid, you better cook that. So other secondary metabolites which has toxicity symptoms in humans includes discorin for ube. So be careful also. Not so much, no? Hydrocyanic glucosides in cassava, especially when the cassava uh, root crop becomes green. If the peel is green, so there's a tendency that it is very high in hydrocyanoglutosides. In carrots, we also have isocomarine when it's already also green. And solanine in potato, when your potato usually is brown or yellow, but when it's green, so there's a high tendency that it has solanine. We also have Ipomea amarone in sweet potato, and alkaloids, carotene and mumudicine, bitterness of ampalaya. For alkaloids, it's not toxic, no. Only these components are toxic. Alkaloids like the carotene and mumudicine is not toxic to humans, and in fact, they are being used as supplementary against for good health and against diabetes, no, and heart disease. So that's all for the components, no, chemical changes and components in relation to post-harvest handling. So why do we study these components? Because as you have heard in the lecture, it has various effects in plants, no, including the aroma, the flavor, and even the toxicity or the health benefits. So for the next topic, we're going to talk about the physiological processes in harvested commodities that includes respiration and so on. So you can ask your question now if you want to ask question and clarification. Yes, Robert.
Mugawas ning sa exam ning mga kuan ma'am kaning pigments ma'am.
Yes, definitely. But you're
Daghan kasi mga word nga
Yeah.
Kailangan.
I know.
Kailangan pa dyan na mo ikaw nun. Kailangan pa dyan i-familiarize, dili memorize mo na.
Yeah, you just familiarize. You can just,
Okay?
the,
Kay, lisod dyan.
the technique is actually your first exposure. Kung first time ninyo ni siya na nabasa nga word, mo na yung first exposure. And the second exposure when you answer the quiz, and the third exposure when you answer the exam. So, it will make you familiarized already. And if you want to memorize the terms talaga, you need to, depende na sa inyo ang brain capacity, then you need to read it again and again. But there's no need for you to really memorize it unless you're opting to take the exam, no, the bar exam. And right now we're not sure yet kung kailan and what will be the situation in the board exam but previously you really need to to remember these terms for your board exam. Kasi some of these terms is in post-harvest will also but only 5% lang I guess ang lalabas usually sa board exam. But somehow when you go further studies like when you do research in your future, nag-work na ba mo karon?
Dali lang, tabang-tabang lang, ma'am.
Oo. Well, if gusto mo mag-master's degree and mag-PhD degree pohon, so you will always encounter all these terms again. So, for your quiz, actually, ang quiz ninyo is open notes. And malamang, ang mahitabo po sa exam ninyo is open notes. I-stop lang sana ko ang recording ha.